All right, buckle up, everybody, because today we are diving deep into some seriously mind-bending philosophy with Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz and his monadology. Now, I know monads might sound a bit intimidating, but stick with us. Trust me, it's a fascinating journey into how this 17th century thinker envisioned, well, pretty much everything.
It's really remarkable. Leibniz was already wrestling with questions that, well, we're still grappling with today.
Yeah.
Like, what is the universe really made of, and what does it even mean to exist, you know?
Yeah, big questions. So, okay, try to imagine the smallest possible thing, like the most fundamental building block of reality. That's a monad, according to Leibniz. But here's the thing, they're not physical things, not like atoms or anything.
They're metaphysical.
Yeah.
They deal with the essence of existence itself. Leibniz argued that everything we see and experience, everything, has to be built from these simpler parts.
Okay, I'm trying to picture this. So these monads are like, I don't know, like the Lego bricks of reality. But how do they actually interact if they're the most basic units?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. Leibniz argued that monads are, get this, windowless.
Windowless.
Yeah, think of them as totally self-contained. Nothing can enter a monad and nothing can leave. Any changes they undergo come from within.
So no bumping into each other, no sending signals, it's all internal.
Exactly. That internal change is driven by what Leibniz called an internal force. It's like each monad has this pre-programmed script unfolding in perfect harmony with the rest of the universe.
Okay, so no external influence whatsoever. But if everything is made of these self-contained monads, how do we explain the world we see, with all its cause and effect? How does anything actually happen?
Well, Leibniz was really adamant that nothing truly comes into being or is destroyed.
Yeah.
Not in the normal way, at least. He believed that monads appear and disappear all at once by the direct influence of, wait for it, God.
Okay, hold on. Let's back up for a sec. We've got these windowless, self-contained monads,
Yeah.
each with its own internal script, popping in and out of existence thanks to God. It's a lot to take in.
It is. It is. And this is really just the tip of the iceberg. Leibniz goes on to say that all monads have perceptions. Now this doesn't mean they're all thinking deep thoughts.
So my coffee mug isn't having an existential crisis.
Not quite. Not quite. Think of it more like a constant state of internal activity, a way of reflecting the universe in varying degrees of clarity.
Okay, so even inanimate objects, like my coffee mug, have some level of perception, even if it's not conscious awareness. What about living things? Does this perception become more complex with animals?
Absolutely. Leibniz was fascinated by animals and the way their senses allow for more intricate perceptions. He marveled at how our sense organs are designed to capture light, sound, and other stimuli, making those perceptions so vivid.
It's true. The smell of freshly baked cookies, it can really change your whole mood. So animals are experiencing the world through their senses.
Yeah.
But is it just raw sensory input? Or is there more to it? Do they have thoughts, memories?
Well, Leibniz argued that animals do have a kind of memory, but it's not based on reasoning. He describes it as a following from, meaning their actions are driven by past experiences rather than, conscious thought. He uses this great example of a dog chasing a stick.
So my dog isn't strategizing how to catch the frisbee. He's just reacting based on past games of fetch. Makes sense. But I can't help but feel a little bit superior to my furry friend now. But where do we humans fit into all of this? What makes our perceptions different?
That is a great question, and it leads us to the heart of what Leibniz saw as setting humans apart. We'll explore that in more detail. But before we do, I want you to consider this. If even the simplest monads have some level of perception, what does that say about the interconnectedness of everything in the universe?
Trippy. So we were talking about how even inanimate objects, even like my coffee mug, have some level of perception. But we humans, I mean, we're a bit different, right?
Yes, definitely. Leibniz argued that humans stand apart because we can grasp what he called necessary truths.
Necessary truths. Okay, now that sounds pretty profound. What exactly does that mean?
Well, think about it like this. Mathematical axioms, like 2 + 2 = 4. Or the laws of logic. These are truths that are, well, eternal, unchanging, no matter what.
Okay, I think I see what he means. These are concepts that are true in all possible worlds, regardless of our experiences.
Yeah, exactly. And humans, unlike animals or those mere monads, as Leibniz called them, can comprehend these necessary truths because we have what he called the mind. And it allows us to reflect on ourselves, to understand abstract concepts and even to contemplate things like infinity or the concept of God.
So our minds are like super powered monads capable of understanding the universe on a deeper level.
I think that's a good way to put it.
But hold on, if every monad has this internal script, this pre-programmed destiny, where does free will fit in? Are we really in control of our choices?
Well, that's a question that philosophers have been grappling with for centuries, really.
Yeah, no kidding.
Leibniz believed that while God created the universe and set everything in motion, he also gave us the capacity for reason and choice. You see, it's like God composed this grand symphony, but we're the instruments, each playing our part with a degree of, well, freedom.
So it's not just pure determinism. We're not just robots blindly following a script.
Not exactly.
Yeah.
Leibniz tried to reconcile these seemingly contradictory ideas of pre-established harmony and free will by arguing that God wouldn't create a world where our choices were meaningless. He believed that God's perfect goodness ensured that our actions have real consequences and contribute to the overall harmony of the universe.
So I'm trying to wrap my head around this. It's like we're all part of this cosmic dance with our steps predetermined in a sense, but we still have the freedom to express ourselves within that choreography.
That's a great way to put it.
It's a very elaborate dance.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is. It is. And this brings us back to the idea of monads as mirrors. Remember, Leibniz said that each monad reflects the entire universe, though with varying degrees of clarity.
Right, right. It's like each monad has its own unique perspective, its own little movie screen showing a different angle of the same cosmic story.
Think about humans. We have the capacity for reason, for reflection, for understanding those eternal truths. And this means our perceptions are much clearer, much more distinct than those of, say, a rock or a tree.
So some monads are just better at processing information than others. Is that why humans are at the top of the food chain, so to speak? Because we have the clearest picture of reality?
Yes, that's how Leibniz saw it.
Hmm.
He believed that God created a hierarchy of monads with humans occupying the highest rung because of our unique ability to understand and appreciate the complexity of the universe.
This is mind-boggling, but it's also making me think about our responsibility. If we have this clearer vision, does that mean we have a greater duty to act in a way that contributes to the harmony of the universe?
That's a question that Leibniz himself pondered.
Yeah.
He believed that true happiness comes from aligning our actions with God's will, which is always directed towards the good. But remember, all monads, regardless of their level of perception, they all play a role in the grand scheme of things.
Okay, so every monad has its part. Every action has its ripple effect. But what about death? Where does that fit into the system? If monads are indestructible, does that mean we're all immortal?
Well, that's where Leibniz gets truly fascinating. He believed that death, as we understand it, doesn't really exist.
Yeah.
He saw the universe as a constant flow of change, a perpetual motion where nothing truly ends. It only transforms.
Mhm. So it's like we're constantly shedding old versions of ourselves, evolving into something new. Is that what he meant by monads changing their clothing?
Exactly. Bodies are like rivers constantly gaining and losing parts, but the soul, the monad at the core of our being persists. It simply changes its clothing bit by bit, moving from one state of being to another.
So we're not just talking about reincarnation here, right? It's more like an endless evolution of the soul. I have to admit, this is a lot more hopeful than the idea of simply ceasing to exist.
And Leibniz's idea of pre-established harmony applies here too.
Yeah.
God in his infinite wisdom wouldn't create a universe where souls simply vanish into nothingness. Instead, he created a system where death is merely a transition, a doorway to a new state of being. He even anticipated modern science by observing how organisms develop from preformed seeds or structures, suggesting that something formed must always come from something pre-existing.
It's amazing how his ideas prefigure some of the things we're discovering in biology today. But if there's no true death, just transformation, what about the concept of an afterlife? Did Leibniz believe in heaven and hell?
Well, he was deeply religious, and he believed that God ensured that our actions have consequences, even after death. He argued that good actions would ultimately be rewarded and bad actions punished, although not necessarily in the way we traditionally imagine. He saw the universe as a moral system governed by justice, even if we can't always perceive it in our limited human understanding.
Okay, this is painting a very different picture of reality than what I'm used to. It's
Yeah.
challenging, but also incredibly thought-provoking.
Remember, he wasn't working in isolation. His ideas were part of a broader intellectual movement challenging the traditional views of philosophy, science, and religion. He sparked debates and engaged with some of the greatest minds of his era.
So Leibniz wasn't just sitting in an ivory tower theorizing about monads. He was out there shaking things up, engaging in real-world discussions. I'd love to hear more about that. How did people react to his radical ideas back in the 17th century?
Well, imagine presenting this intricate system of monads, pre-established harmony,
Hmm.
and a universe teeming with unseen life to people who were still grappling with the implications of the scientific revolution. It was a time of immense intellectual upheaval,
Yeah.
and Leibniz was right in the thick of it.
I can only imagine the debates, the arguments, the excitement. This is getting really interesting, but I think we'll have to save that part of the story for next time. We're running out of time for today.
Indeed, indeed. But while we wait, I encourage you to consider this. If Leibniz were alive today, how do you think his ideas would resonate with our modern understanding of the universe? Would he be celebrated as a visionary or dismissed as a relic of a bygone era?
So last time we were about to hear about how Leibniz's ideas were received back in the 17th century. I mean, it sounds like he was really making some serious waves.
Oh, he absolutely was. He was, exchanging ideas with some real heavy hitters. Think Isaac Newton, Baruch Spinoza,
Yeah.
even royalty like Queen Sophie Charlotte of Prussia was captivated by his theories.
Wow, rubbing shoulders with royalty and revolutionizing philosophy. This Leibniz guy was quite a character. But but did everyone kind of embrace his ideas? I mean, with open
Well,
arms?
not exactly. You got to remember, this was a time of just massive change. The scientific revolution was turning old assumptions upside down. Just imagine trying to explain these intricate, mind-bending concepts like monads, pre-established harmony, this whole universe teeming with unseen life, to people who were still adjusting to the idea of a heliocentric solar system.
Yeah, it must have been like dropping a philosophical bomb. So how did he actually communicate these complex ideas? Was he writing books, giving lectures?
Well, Leibniz was a prolific writer. He was constantly corresponding with some of the greatest minds of his time. He wrote treatises, essays, even philosophical dialogues. But his monadology, as we know it, wasn't actually published until after his death.
Oh, really? So his most famous work wasn't even widely read during his lifetime. That's
No.
kind of surprising. But if that's the case, how did his ideas gain traction?
Well, think of it like those windowless monads themselves. His ideas had this internal power, this ability to kind of ripple outward and influence later thinkers in subtle but really profound ways. His work laid the groundwork for philosophical movements like idealism, which really emphasizes the role of the mind in shaping our perception of reality.
So even though people might not have been explicitly talking about monads, his concepts were kind of bubbling under the surface, shaping the way philosophers were thinking about the world.
Exactly, exactly. And his impact wasn't limited to philosophy either. I mean, his mathematical work, especially his contributions to calculus.
Wait, calculus.
Yeah,
It's
calculus.
like that's like math class nightmares for some people.
No.
How did he go from theorizing about these tiny metaphysical units to developing something as practical as calculus?
Well, Leibniz was a true polymath. I mean, he was
Mhm.
he was interested in a vast range of disciplines. He saw connections between seemingly disparate fields. His work on logic and symbolic reasoning, for example, ended up laying the groundwork for computer science, centuries later.
Wow, that's incredible. So from the smallest building blocks of reality to the foundations of modern technology, Leibniz's ideas have had a lasting impact on the world.
Yeah, it's a testament to the power of intellectual curiosity. Leibniz was driven by this insatiable desire to understand the universe, and his pursuit of knowledge ultimately led to breakthroughs that continue to shape our lives today.
It's a reminder that ideas matter,
Yeah.
even if we don't see their full impact right away. They have a way of echoing through time, inspiring new discoveries and transforming the way we see the world.
And perhaps that's the greatest takeaway from our deep dive into monadology. It's not just about understanding Leibniz's theories, but about embracing the spirit of inquiry, that willingness to ask big questions, and the courage to explore uncharted intellectual territory.
Well said, well said. I think we've all had a serious mental workout today, but in the best way possible. We've journeyed into the heart of Leibniz's universe, exploring the nature of reality, the interconnectedness of everything, and the potential for human understanding to shape the world around
And
us.
and and who knows? Maybe this deep dive has planted a seed, a monad of curiosity in each of us, waiting to unfold and inspire our own explorations of the universe and our place within it.
That's a beautiful thought. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey into the world of monads. Until next time, keep those minds open and those questions coming.